What can you do when you're feeling a lot of despair and pain and grief and disappointment in your life? There are a number of key things I recommend. First of all, you need to feel the feelings. You need to release those emotions that you're finding yourself a bit stuck in. A lot of people resist doing this because they're afraid of being overwhelmed, that those emotions are just going to take over and be out of control and dominate their sense of self, identity, their whole life. And that really is a bit of an illusion. You can set things up that there's a container for your feeling those feelings. So, for example, commit perhaps to just giving a half an hour or perhaps an hour where you're going to let yourself feel these feelings, but at this time you're going to stop and do something else. Right? That, just to create that container, a boundary around which you will let yourself vent and let yourself access those emotions if you're feeling afraid that they'll overwhelm you. A second little thing to do here is that oftentimes people know they're there, but don't quite know how to get at them. How do I begin? How do I get at these feelings that kind of want to come out, but I'm not too sure what they all are? What you do is you start journaling. You commit first to, say, doing that half hour or an hour, and then you get out your paper and pen and just start writing. Write without thinking. Just let yourself write non-stop. 3 pages, and you'll find as you do, it's almost like you go from the surface of your consciousness to going deeper and deeper into your subconscious and what's really going on at a deeper emotional level in you. You'll start to access that. It'll start to come out. And when you're feeling that starting to come out, let yourself cry. Let yourself express what's in there. You can evaluate it later, but you do need to first get at what's going on in there and letting it out. Right? Then you can start doing something with it. So this is the first step. Another factor I just want to bring in here is that you need to remember you are not identified with the emotion. You are the observer of the emotion. Remember that you are sort of the witness, the detached observer. If you're just observing the emotion, there's a bit of space between you and the feelings. Right? So that if I'm feeling depressed, I know that, there is this emotion of depression that's going on in me right now. But it's not that I am that emotion of depression. It is something that's occurring within me. There's a me that's separate from that emotion. The self that is experiencing the emotion. So you don't identify with the emotion. It doesn't have to dominate your whole sense of self and being. You are the observer, the witness of it. It is something that has come. It is something that will go. All right? And you are in the driver's seat. All right? So don't give your power away to that emotion. Right? So just keep that in mind. The next thing I highly recommend, and I hope it won't offend people, but I think it's really important, is to pray. Yes, indeed, to pray. Whatever your sense of higher power may be, God, the source, the universe, this deity, that deity, the angels, your higher self, whatever it is really important to be reaching out to something beyond you, something bigger than you. Because a key problem here is that we become this closed system and our emotions are in there. And we're often at sort of like at a dead end. We hit a dead end road and we're created a cul-de-sac. We're going around in circles in this enclosed dead end. We need to bust that open. All right, and let the energy that's going on inside of us get out of us. And not only do we need to let things get out, we also need something new to come in. So in the act of, quote, prayer, we are making a gesture of openness. We're opening the box of our own selves, of our lives, and inviting something new to come in, inviting change, inviting inspiration, inviting revelation, inviting growth, and getting out of this dead-end cul-de-sac that we're stuck in. So it's so important to make that gesture of invitation to something beyond you, because you're stuck right now in and of yourself. You need something outside of you to kind of come in and shift things around so you can get unstuck. All right, so it's really important to make that gesture of invitation and openness, of asking for help, asking for insight, asking for guidance, for encouragement, for hope, whatever it is that you need to make that gesture of invitation through asking something beyond you. All right? Is really, really useful. The third thing is that now that since you've asked, you need to receive. You now need to be receptive to what may come to you and be on the lookout for it. It can happen in the most subtle ways. You might find just even through this, it's like something has shifted inside and you feel better now. You feel a little bit more encouraged, a little bit more hopeful. You've got what you need to get through this day. All right? There's something that can come in to help you. Then be on the lookout for signs and claim them and own them. Any little tidbit that you can get your hands on, claim it. If it be a phone call from a friend, if it be something you see on TV, something you hear on the radio, just something that strikes you when you look outside in nature and maybe hear the birds sing. It could be a numerous number of things. Your dreams. There's so many ways that some little message, some little whisper, sometimes it's a loud bang or a big cosmic 2x4 hitting you on the head, but it can be very subtle and very loud. And it could just be your own inner still voice speaking to you. But there can be and will be things coming in, and it's for you then to claim it, own it, anchor it. And here again, I recommend a journal. I always write out my prayers, whatever I ask, whatever I need. I write them out in the journal. Again, that anchors the prayer, that intention, that searching for help. And then I look for answers. I'm on the lookout. Here's a little something here. I write it in my journal and say thank you. Something else comes over here. I write it down in my journal and say thank you. Claim it in faith. You need faith in this process. To be doubting it and dismissing it will keep you stuck in cynicism. And cynicism is a dead-end road. It's a dead-end road. That's when to become cynical is to think there's nothing good out there and you're just stuck within yourself and you're going to stay in that dead-end cul-de-sac. All right? It just leads you nowhere. It doesn't do you any bit of good. Right? So you need to have faith. You need to believe, even though at times you don't think you can believe. But again, open your eyes, open up your ears, and you can then see and hear that there is good reason to always have hope. Now, the next thing I recommend, all right, and the final thing, the fourth thing, is you need to take action. All right, you need to take action toward the good. When you're feeling in despair, depressed, we want to cocoon ourselves. And there's a place for that. Sometimes you do. You just need that time of rest. And to give you that self that space of withdrawing. I mean, there's a place for that. But then, there's also a place where you need to start moving. And a big problem is that, again, you need to understand it energetically. When we're feeling down and depressed, we tend to withdraw, contract, and this energy gets bottled up and becomes stagnant inside. And it needs to be crack open where you start to take movement. It's so important to be in movement. If it be exercising, going out for a walk, right? Whatever it is, you need to get yourself into action at some level in some way. And it begins, and for me, just in terms of my thought, my mind, is that I take action in terms of being committed to the good. I'm committed to being constructive. I'm committed to being creative, to create something good, to look for the good in whatever way I can in my life, and then to act on that good. So it could be just the goodness of getting out of bed, getting dressed, and feeding yourself breakfast. Just to make that commitment that you're going to take a step to the good and something constructive like that. Right? So you need to get into action. You need to put out. And it's all about energy in my mind. Where the stagnant energy, all right, that happens when, especially through depression and despair and things, that's kind of negative emotions, we can get stuck at this dead end. We need to open it up. We need to have a flow of letting out and being in movement and action, and also releasing our feelings and bringing in fresh insight, fresh input, new energy, so that there's a flow, so that we're an open system. And then we can be in harmony, All right, start to get in the flow with life, with the universe. All right, with God, if you like. There is a flow that starts to happen, and you start to get onto the right track.